Greetings everybody, and welcome once more to the Dracovin Empire. Are you ready to dive back into Golarion, the world setting the Pathfinder role-playing game system? Because today, we're going to be learning about the Kami, another interesting ancestry and being that is out there. You're ready to dive with me. I'm your host and guide here, Tian Xia, and I can open up a portal, a gateway to Golarion, take us there, time, space, and the universe. Please do remember to give me a little bit of tip of here. Hey, subscribe over the YouTube side of things and let me know your experience with Kami in the description below. You ready to go? Hounds outreached? Take it. Let's get going. Golarion, and of course at this time, Tian Xia awaits. We're back in Tian Xia. Haven't joined me for visiting here? Hey, we've done a lot of visits to here. And the Kami, though they've spread to a degree beyond Tian Xia, they are in still a lot of ways a deep part about it, because they originate from that region. But if I was to be looking into this and understand where some stats are, and things like that, I basically call out a good 3 books here. The main book that I would call out are the 2 bestiaries. What do I mean by 2 bestiaries? I mean bestiary 3 from 2nd edition. This is before the remaster project, so keep that with a grain of salt. Though I do feel like from the Tian Xia World Guide, we're not getting major updates to the Kami. There might be some minor ones. And of course, Bestiary 3 from 1st edition. Hey, turns out they were both in Bestiary 3. Strangely, both in Bestiary 3. And of course, from the old Adventure Pass, the Jade Regent book of the Forest of Spirits actually is a good place too, because it has an ecology of Kami, which again goes into some depth there. It's still 1st edition. Take things with a grain of salt. There are probably little bits of upgrades here and there, but most of the basic information is fine. I'll be ready to rock and roll. Let's keep going. Who are the Kami? That's a really good question to start with. They are spiritual beings. They tend to be deeply connected with divine, basically divine spirit natures of Tian Xia. It's an interesting juxtaposition because they are tasked with maintaining the balance of nature of the world, kind of watching the world, protecting various things, finding these wards. Said it wrong there for a second. Basically, something that they bond with, that they watch over. Their ward is incredibly important to them. Basically, they tend to be objects or places, natural objects or places. They're also the ancient enemies of the Oni, so keep that deeply in mind too when we talk about the Oni and their nature, that the two of them are like opposite sides of a coin in many ways. The Kami are basically also not necessarily good or evil in many ways. They watch after the thing they watch after. If you interfere with it, and you possibly invoke their wrath because of it. What they watch after, what they ward after, is what becomes important of it. And it doesn't mean, though, that Kami can't be corrupted, can't fall from the ultimate tasks of the kind of like general divinity that they are kind of bonded with, can lead to. Which gets us into a kind of their origin. Now, 1st edition does kind of define their origin as being kind of created by the gods, the material plane, at the dawn of it, basically like many other beings were. And they having this duty to kind of shelter off of the creations of the gods. Whether or not this is actually true or not, again, hey, 2nd edition really hasn't talked a lot about them. We might see an update to them a little bit more post the Tian Xia World Guide. But basically, there's an aspect of their being that is ritualistic, that is set in stone. And originating from the region in Minkai, mostly, especially the Forest of Spirits, they have spread across Tian Xia, where they watch after many things. Minkai is almost seen as their place of origin because of their deep connection with the Forest of Spirits as an origin point from them, from which they have gone out to find wards and protect things. And each Kami has the different type of things they watch after, a different form based on it, a different ward based on it. So, and a Kami failing in its duty, failing in its existence, can be seen as an important aspect for them. Failure. Failure can lead down dark paths, though, too. The sheer fact is that a Kami that fails in its duty may find it drawn closer to more of the darker elements of the world, and possibly corruption. Now, the fact is that if we look at the way it was In older editions, that means falling into Oni. They still are. The process of it is unknown at this point in time, but a kami could lose its connection with the physical realm. Or, if it does fall deeper into embracing certain things and certain aspects, the Oni are what they would possibly become. And again, the first Oni were kami. Basically, trauma, losing their sacred wards, various disasters led to them. So it's like they are definitely these two sides of a coin that exist. That was a Zushin there. This is a Kodama. So, kami themselves don't necessarily build societies. They have the things they ward against. At most, it's the way that they interact with humanoids. That's really what important a relationship it is. How the community interacts with the environment, how the community acts and reacts with an area. Settlements that depend on the cooperation of nature will oftentimes coexist peacefully with kami, and have basically ways to appease them. There are plenty of people that will give penance, possibly even worship, to the kami. They are divine spirits. They may not be gods, but they are things that could affect and help nature around them. So the real building of society, building of groups, tends to come from this cooperation and this tending to work together between the humanoids of an area and the kami. And again, those humanoids or beings that come into an area and try to exploit or extract materials and don't appease to the kami could have very poor relationships. If you're coming to mine, fish, or log, if you go to a local shrine and give a prayer, give an offering, and be like, hey, I'm going to take some trees or something, or hey, I'm going to dig into the earth, basically doing the right things to appease those spiritual beings that live there, you're going to have a bad time. You do that, maybe you can do that. Maybe you can work together with it. So this kind of like juxtaposition of these beings that are in charge of something spiritually, and you trying to mess with that and finding that balance, yeah, that's basically the interactions that kami have with the physical world in a lot of ways. Here's our wonderful, wonderful Shikigami. And that's just one type of kami. Now in Bestiary 3, we had 4 types of kami that were reprinted there. The Shikigami, the Kodama, the Zushin, and the Toshigami. The Shikigami being kind of a common one, spirits that tend to work along with mortals. The Kodama, spirits of trees. Zushin, spirits of protection and shrines and places, warriors. And the Toshigami, like a more powerful version of a tree spirit, in fact, cherry trees and more sacred places of nature. These aren't the only ones. First edition did bring us a great number of other kami. The Dosujin, the travel kami, Fukujin, the bonsai kami, Jushigami, the land kami, Kaminari, the thunder kami, the Sojin, the water kami, just to name a few of them, with a few others that you kind of pick out from the list. The Naga, who are kind of home-based kami. Sorry, I'm going to try. If I butcher any of these names, I do apologize. The Sukugomi, Sukumogami, who are basically specialized ones that connect with various objects that have had an existence over 100 years. And the Silsiche, which I don't know much about, but I know them by name. All these are various types of kami. And again, we haven't confirmed anything post the remaster project, but I do feel like our 4 from the pre-remaster are probably good to go, and some of the older ones might be fine too, effectively because kami still exist in all these places. Hey, there's the Toshigami. I'm going to be talking about the kami lords, or greater kami. They are supposed to be more akin to demigods, more powerful kami. There are those that are said to dwell in Sarasi Forest, where they're more of the lordship. First edition is what introduced us to the concept of kami lords. In second edition, at most, we know about elder kami, more greater ones that are very powerful, ones that might be seen as the lords or leaders of groups of them in places like the Forest of Spirits. The exact terminology for them is kind of a little loose at this point in time, because we really didn't get a lot of details on this concept of kami lords, other than they are more divine things, akin to demigods, more powerful versions of these powerful spiritual beings. The fact is, again, hard to say where this exists now. I assume there's a version of them that still exists in the remaster project, especially when you look to the powerful creatures of things like Tian Xia, where if you look in the Forest of Spirits, we had the good old, let me grab his name here because I forgot to grab his name here, Okojokami, which Okojokami was an elder kami and one of the most powerful kami in the Forest of Spirits, or is at this point in time. A guardian deity in a way, when really only his ward is a particular river. The thing is, that power level means that he has earned respect, or, as a being. And the fact is that there are probably more similar powerful kami that are out there, but the question then comes down to, are these the replacements of the kami lords that were talked about in first edition? Are the elders what they are now? We don't know at this point in time. But keep in mind, regardless of all this, I just kind of want to talk about it, that powerful kami do exist that could reach this level of nigh divinity in a lot of ways, and we can see it in the elder kamis, or the Forest of Spirits at least for now, and probably there are others out there in Tian Xia beyond there that are just as powerful. What does this mean? We'll probably find out eventually. Probably. But yes. There you go. There's the kami. They're an interesting group because they are talked about deeply in the Tian Xia World Guide, but they are talked about as these things that are there, as their spiritual form, and talk about them in the most basic terms in the many places they exist in. The sheer fact is there's so much information about them that isn't discussed in a lot of ways. And a lot of stuff that seemingly is lost between first edition and second edition, and especially post the remaster, where, yes, we can look at the Tian Xia World Guide and say, because it came out right around the remaster, most of the stuff in there is like, thumbs up, like 99% of it. That means we know about the kami again, but again, just the lack of updates and the lack of information that we have gotten in second edition means there's a lot of questions about them. Do the kami lords, as they originally were, are they something different? Are those the elders? These are questions I have that will probably be answered eventually, and hope, by the time you're watching this video, maybe they're answered. Maybe they're not. But my hope is that, like many of these larger groups, maybe there's a revisit in the future, or at very least, I'm giving you the basic information for you to understand them as a group, so it doesn't really matter if more details show up, more types of them show up. We know the confirmed type. You understand what a kami is, what its job is, its connections to the divine, it's a divine spirit being that exists now. Whether it's directly connected with gods or not, hard to say, but it is connected to Tian Xia. And certainly speaking, they've spread from most of the borders of Tian Xia, and maybe, given a few more thousand years, could spread to many other places, beyond the borders of Tian Xia, to other continents. It's impossible to say. They are spirits of nature, they are spirits of the divine, and there's plenty of nature beyond Tian Xia. So, I do hope you enjoyed, and we'll leave that there. So thank you. Please check out all my stuff, whether it's over on Twitch, whether it's over on YouTube. All my tabletop stuff gets recorded over to Twitch Live, which you can always join me and chat with me during that time, ask questions about the topic. But all that gets uploaded over on the YouTube side, so you don't miss anything. Whenever you are on YouTube, please definitely subscribe, give all that kind of support things there. And hey, let me know your thoughts on kami here. I kind of want to know what your thoughts are on the kami lords and things as the elder's supposed to replace it. But how will you use these in adventure? That's my big question here. I think that's a good one to ask. Check out my social medias. And until the next time we hang out, I say to all of you out there, a deep and wonderful farewell.